So the whole thing for us as a parliament started when we attended the PDS back in Tanzania. So it was like a wake-up call. But before that time, as a parliament, we have been trying to go e-parliament. So we have been doing a few things behind the scenes to make sure that we move from a paperless way of working to a more digital way of working to help our MPs and staffers. So the first thing we did is to launch like a paperless kind of initiative to make sure that we slowly begin to transfer some of it, not everything, because our MPs have been used to working with the paper-based thing and so on. So we have been trying to see how can we digitize some aspects of our work and make it easy for like MPs to access information, to like read information, but also for the general public to access information. We needed to increase on the supply of information going out to the general public so that we are able to bring the public closer to what we are doing as a parliament. So we launched the e-parliament initiative. We have an ICT department that is leading that initiative. We also have a cybersecurity because of technical correctness. We have a cybersecurity unit that is also working to together with us. So the first thing we did as a strategy is to set up a cloud-based system, which we are still struggling with. Is to set up a cloud-based system that can enable everybody to contribute and add to for our staff and our MPs. So that cloud system makes documents available to MPs when they are in the well, when they are doing their sittings. So it is easy for them to access information here and there. So basically, it was at that point, and then the PDS came. So when the PDS came, we attended it. We learned a lot from all of these other parliaments in the room. But most importantly, we shared an idea that we had, because for us, making information accessible, making information readily available is what we are trying to use AI for. So the first thing that we got an idea to do is to set up like a kind of chatbot, a digital assistant that will help us to make information available around the clock, like in 24 hours, right? So we did like a sample that I shared in the PDS workshop and say, this is an example of what we are trying to do. So to show how serious Parliament is taking AI, they have moved me from a desk officer for AI. They now made me the deputy director for innovations and system development, which is where that whole AI thing, digital development thing is now happening under. And I work directly under the office of the clerk to make sure that this is working. So all of the departments, first of all, I call it training. Because the thing about AI, if you set up an AI system, you need now to train the staff so they are able to understand. A lot of them are using like ChatGPT, they are using these other applications, but it's just the knowledge is not actually in there to make sure that that's human review. So make sure that that editing efficiently takes place, because the human factor have to come into play, even if you get information from an AI, right? So I have done like a whole organization kind of training. We have trained MPs on the use of AI. We have also trained our staff on how can you use AI for like automation, interpretation of documents, and also how to analyze documents to get what you want. Because most of the time, our MPs develop their own submission to give in the well, right? So they normally come to us, can you help me to research on XYZ because I'm going to make a submission in the well. So now that training was helping them to identify a particular topic and then use an AI model to like analyze that and get the main information that you want to go and present in the web. So that is a work in progress so far, because we have been talking to them about it. And then I said to Louis the other time, we are planning on really taking the AI thing at a massive scale so that we ensure that we make an investment in the tools, and then we give our staff and our MPs the tools they need to make that happen. But then the book that we took part in, the book that we wrote with all these other parliaments, we contributed to like chapter 4, and that is democratizing AI. So our leadership is very much interested in how we can use AI to bring the public closer to the work that we are doing here in Parliament. So that is where that book comes in. So from the last time we spoke to now, I have been trying to roll out that book to the entire Parliament to make sure that people are aware on the best principles of democratizing access in terms of information sharing, in terms of learning, because most of the time we'll get people here from the colleges, they come here to like ask us questions about bills, about stuff like that. So democratizing access has now given us a fresh way of looking at information acquisition using AI. So basically, this is what we have been doing so far. But then with this new office in place now, the deputy clerk has made a commitment to like make an investment to expand on the use of AI so that everybody across our Parliament will have a tool that we use for that. But and also we are planning to like optimize our website to fix like a fully operational chat box now. So we did like an 18-page update last week, and so we had a conversation to say, how can we get all of our pages? How can we train a chatbot to be able to interpret all of the information on the website? Another big problem we are facing now is to get specific metadata in place for all of the learning products on our website. For example, let's say a student or somebody from a line ministry wants to access a Parliament's and a strategic plan. Most of the time, the problem they get, the PDF documents are on the website, but they are not effectively described. There is no blog. There is no metadata to describe, say, the information that goes along with the learning product. So like that is going to be the work that we do behind the scenes to make sure that information is being provided enough on the website. So when students, when MPs, when staff, and when people from the central government comes into this Parliament or like access our website, they are able to get a fully operational chatbot that helps them to get what they want. But it is also the central governments have also demonstrated appetite to support technology in this country. They have like the big goals that they came out with, and then one of them is to support the use and the uptake and use of technology in all the work that the government institutions are doing. So, and then Parliament is no exception to that. So the appetite is still there to make sure that AI is being fully integrated into the work that Parliament is doing. So far, this is generally like a brief rundown of the work that we are doing here to make sure that we incorporate AI in the work that we do. Yeah, Louis, I hope my 15 minutes just went by.
Sorry, no, all good. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting way, I think, of looking at artificial intelligence, and you know, in terms of actually what you're actually then looking at incorporating as well on a larger scale. Yeah, I think there's some very good value in terms of chatbots. It's sort of, I think, you know, if you get it right, it can actually replace the need for what I call traditional search. Because you're actually asking questions about the content. And if we look at like members, as you sort of said, coming on board, they can say, well, actually, you know, what are my allowances? Or, you know, what can I do in this situation? Or what can I do in that situation, as an example, if you have all the right content, as you sort of described. I think it's an interesting one you sort of mentioned around the training aspect around artificial intelligence. I was wondering if you can sort of explain that in a little bit more detail, and what some of the additional benefits you've sort of found around that as well. Like, so, you know, the less reliance on, say, potentially staff, or a range of other sort of things where they can focus their attention on.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So to make that happen, we have been trying to look at what other parliaments are doing with AI. So we look at the UK Parliament, we look at Estonia, we look at Canada. We see that these are case studies of how AI has been used to make things happen in all of these other parliaments. But then we also show them videos of, you know, cutting edge technology to say that AI, because that is the preconceived notion to say, is an AI coming to replace my job? Am I going out of business because of that? So we have been telling them two things. One, whatever you are doing in your day-to-day job, AI is coming to make it better and faster. You understand? But also, you need to understand the human review to make sense out of the information you are getting from AI. So that is the element that has really been able to help a lot of our staff, because most of the time they go there, they get information, they just paste it verbatim. You understand? So the human review comes in as a very important ingredient to make sure that quality is being maintained. In fact, in one of our trainings, we left with an understanding of what we call quality standards in the use of AI. We agreed to say you can use AI fine, but you should make sure that you go through these are quality standards. Number one, understand how to put in the prompt as a first quality standard. You have to understand prompts, and that has been able to benefit them a lot. How do you coin your prompts to get what you want? Don't go to AI asking for solutions and this, that. You really have to understand how to put things into perspective and then give it to the AI. But then secondly, when you get this information, how do you review, knowing that what you want is what you want to get from this platform? So that has been able to help a lot to guide them in how they use their AI. But also, how I use AI might not be how an MP uses AI, or how my colleagues have used it, because we have different job descriptions. So that we have created a kind of plenary discussion so that everybody can talk about how they work and the best way to use AI to take that forward. So basically it has been able to help in that line. Yes.
It's actually a really interesting one. I think it's a very good point you've made around the way which you use AI will be different to an MP, as an example. And, as you sort of said, the way I've sort of basically looked at the prompts as well, like prompt engineering as an example. The way I used AI 2 years ago is very different to now how I've learned to actually use AI in a more structured way, and I get better results from it. But it's only learning and experience which, has sort of taught me that, as an example. And I'm curious, are there any other sort of use cases around artificial intelligence that you would probably look at in the near future as well? So you have, chatbots, or are you looking at speech to text, or are you looking at any other sort of interesting innovations that you've been thinking about in the near term?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. So we have a couple. The first one, because we have a whole department in charge of research that supports our MPs and our staff to do research for bills, looking at, is this bill succeeding? Is this happening? So one of the critical areas we are hoping, in the near future, to make an investment with AI is in terms of document analysis, data analysis, right? Because these are somewhat large data sets that we have a very big and enormous committee department that work with ministries, departments, and agencies. So they go out all the time to do monitoring. They go out all the time to get information to bring us in. But then we need an AI system that can enable them to analyze all this information and then make sense out of it, qualitatively, quantitatively, and then present that for decision making within Parliament. Most times an MP will just come, okay, can you help us with the presidential speech that was made in this Parliament and this Parliament? Compare the two and then give me this and this and this, because I want to go and stage an argument. So they are always making research, right? But also from time to time, Parliament also comes up with its own research initiatives, right, for staff and then for things that are happening. So we're looking forward to get a system of AI that can enable us not just to analyze the data set, but to present it in a rather fun way. You understand? So that, together with the chatbot thing, is really what we are looking forward to. But also, I mentioned to the Deputy Speaker one time, this thing that is used in the web to ensure language models. So if somebody is speaking this international language, you are able to get a real-time interpretation in English. So that is also another area that I submitted to say, if we are going digital, we need to ensure that anybody that comes to our parliament is not having a challenge with language, right? We also talked about using sign language interpretation. Well, this is a physical thing because you have to get someone standing right there that is doing the sign languages. But then with the language, let's say you're speaking French, but the bulk of people who are sitting here will have a headset that can interpret using AI in English. So these are the kind of things we're thinking about there.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think there's so many like positive use cases. And I think one thing which did resonate with me is when you were sort of saying around staff perception around the use of AI. And, you know, it's sort of sometimes initially they may come and say, you know, that this may take away my job. Whereas, as you sort of said, you know, it's actually a tool to supplement your job and to help you, you know, not do mundane things and focus on the real, you know, parts of work instead of, say, copying this record from over here to over here 20 times. And, you know, it's not very entertaining work as an example. And I think, you know, one of the sort of my sort of questions also is that, you know, with the adoption of artificial intelligence, have you sort of noted any additional interest from, say, younger generations, you know, getting more involved in your parliament as well and trying to interact with your sort of parliament around those sort of areas, even from a staffing perspective and long-term retention of, you know, potentially staff as well, because you're sort of seen as being a innovator and, you know, leader in those sort of areas, which is interesting to a lot of people now.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we know for sure that the younger generation, being the digital nature that they are, a lot of them are very much aware about AI right now. They are using AI for ethics or why. So we are also very much concerned as a parliament for people not to use AI for the wrong reasons. Like, you know, there are many people can use AI to like say, okay, get me this, get me that, and then for the purpose of ridiculing something, right? So, and as much as we are trying to use AI to like get the public closer to us, it's also part of our ongoing conversation to see when we finally get people closer to Parliament, because we are, I would say we are kind of in the beginning of doing that because we have not yet set up like a fully operational chatbot. We are still in the process of making that investment. So when we get to that stage, the next step is kind of to say, how do we engage young people? These guys coming from the colleges, right? To say that AI is a thing, but the responsible use of AI also counts, right? Even journalists that comes here, they come here to like gather information and all. So we sometimes have certain protocols in place of how you play with parliamentary information, and AI can cover a lot of mileage in that. So we hope to like engage them to get a kind of strategy or like an MOU to say, when working with Parliament, whether you are using an AI system or not, but even if you use an AI module, always understand that you confirm that it is fact. Always ensure that you double check to make sure that the information that you're putting out is fact. It's the same with these young people. So also there is a cybersecurity bill also here in this country that that is giving us the awareness that you cannot just put information out like a hate speech, like a kind of anything that is not true, to say, okay, I am putting out this information just for views and likes. You understand? But the information is not true. So that bill is going to be fully pressed into effect to say, if we are taking AI to the next level, people should get the understanding that there is a law in place, that you cannot just put out information when it is not factual. So we are looking to actually put that into place.
Yeah, amazing. And I think like sort of my final question is around the cybersecurity side of things, and obviously what you've sort of been working with around the cloud as well. You know, the cloud obviously offers a lot of benefit, I see, in terms of, you know, big compute power and to run these sort of models and, you know, to be, you know, quite cost effective from a financial perspective as well. So, you know, could you sort of suggest any particular strategies, you know, that you've actually implemented or, you know, spoken about in terms of that crossover between your cybersecurity world and AI in terms of how the actual Parliament is actually using it in a, you know, in a good way and a safe way as well?
So yeah, because we we have taken that serious. We have an ICT department, but within the ICT department, we created a trained, highly skilled cybersecurity unit. And there is a guy there that is running that is very much aware of the benchmarks, So we look at, as a country, where we are in terms of ICT and the laws that we have in place. And that is what we are working by. So we also, there was, the MPs met at one point. I'm trying to think about it. And as a parliament, they discussed as to whether information technology, AI, and then cybersecurity should be an integral part of the work that we do. And that also reflects in the 5-year strategy that we have as a parliament. Make sure that we move on with the next 5 years, knowing that ICT and then AI integration is a critical aspect. But then we have a cybersecurity unit that is charged with the responsibility to make sure that we always remain in check, even from our website and the way we put out information online, to make sure that a particular data protection system is being put into place to make sure for hackers and to make sure that our information is not just out to the public, because this is parliamentary information. A lot of information that we use here, most of them is not easily out in the public view, except we put them on the website. So we have a lot of data protection measures in place in line with our cybersecurity thing to make sure that we get as much protection as possible.
Yeah. No, I said, like, I'm very impressed in terms of there's definitely and it sounds like there's really good buy-in from your members of parliament as well, and from executive, people as well, which is a very positive sign. And it makes, life a lot easier if it's in your strategic vision as well.
Yeah.
In your 5-year plan. So, no, I said, like, I wanted to sort of thank you for your very insightful comments and exactly how you're sort of really progressing artificial intelligence usage within a parliament. And I really liked the concept of a training side of things, which you're sort of rolling out as well. I think that's a really good, use. And also, I think a lot of colleagues who will watch this as well will sort of pick up on the training aspect as well. And I think utilize that in their parliaments, which is very exciting. So I wanted to thank you for your insightful presentation, and I hope to sort of have another chat at some future state and see where your next advancements are.
Anytime, Jonathan. I'm your guy. Anytime.
Thank you.